companion connectivity thing along with the AI ML capabilities and other stuff. So this is how we are creating that ecosystem of utilization of our chip going across the different verticals, and robotics is a key vertical for us, and we are trying to work very closely with communities, institutes, and startup companies, because this is just started, And just one more point, not taking much time. So we have success in automotive, where we have like very big business pipeline, and we are working on ADAS autonomous solutions. So it is a leverage. We have mobile platform, then we have automotive, and then we have IoT. So we have one technology, one roadmap, kind of stuff where we can leverage, on these technologies within the BU itself. So for us, it's very quick and faster, and we work on latest process node technologies. I mean, cutting edge nanometer stuff. So I think we are leading this ecosystem that way, so that we can grow together and build this ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to represent it a little differently on how Nvidia sees the lens of robotics, right, and what we are trying to build it across as well. So think of it as few horizontal lines and two vertical lines in your mind, right? The fundamental of anything that to do with robotics is to do with trainings, right? And thereby AI trainings or simulation-based enabled training is the fundamental pillar. So I call them as two horizontals, around which the Nvidia is trying to build a lot of ecosystem. And regardless to say where we stand on AI training, I'm sure each one of you are doing trainings on GPU, right? Simulation is where we have Isaac Sim, which is part of the much larger umbrella. We call it as Omniverse platform, which is world's first platform for metaverse to build, and the largest number of connectors available from the globe and the partner ecosystem that we have. The third layer is the development aspect of it, right? And that's where a lot of our tools comes in, which are built based on ROS and surrounded stuff, not just to replace, no way to replace any of the ROS components, but to accelerate the overall piece of journey that ROS has to offer on the hardware that you consume it using GPU, right? And the last one is the deployment aspect of it. And that's where you have a lot of things to do with route optimization, maps, perseverance, and so on and so forth. All these things is where the fourth, horizontal comes in. And we have large set of ecosystem in play that we talk about, and good amount of acquisition also in play, and a lot of in-house tools that we have built and made it open source as well. And the two verticals, how I call it as, is one vertical is the partner ecosystem, and which includes everything, right? Starting from your sensor vendors to people who are creating your boards, carrier boards, to people who are helping you to do services, system integrators, the OEMs, the ODMs, and so on and so forth, right? And of course, the hardware vendors as well, which are trying to help us. And on the other side, the new generation stuff which is taking place in last 8-9 months, the generative AI, which is then helping the overall acceleration on not just one layer, but all 4 layers that I talked about it, right? And hopefully tomorrow when I speak in my talk, I'll be able to represent you in each layer how generative AI is making a disruption and allowing you to have that time to execution reduce or give a better services to your customer with far more flexibility that they were looking for it in the robotics world. This is how I see Nvidia has an ecosystem and a play that we have built in. It's a fairly rich ecosystem that we have built, over 1,000+ partners, over 2 million+ developers, over 400K+ downloads that has taken place, and it's thriving as we speak every single day as it is progressing. That's Nvidia.
So I think if you take the semiconductor industry, I think historically it has been the bedrock for technology advancements, right? I think probably the only industry that has the ability to convert this analog world to digital, that's semiconductors. Now, analog devices aspirations is to be the market leader in intelligent edge. So when we talk about intelligent edge, I think more and more it's going to be a collaborative play. I think there were times where semiconductor companies were very vertically integrated. I think they had this aspiration to do everything. It used to be a component play. But the future of every semiconductor company, not just analog devices, in my opinion, is about what's your collaborative strategy. Like we are all sitting here, we collaborative on certain things. We also compete on certain things. I think that's the true nature of business that's going to go forward in the industry. That's how your customers look up to you, saying that what is the solution that you're able to bring to the market? What is your subsystem play? What's your platform play? I think the aspirations of being a platform company is getting into the true visions of every semiconductor organization. So for that, there are gaps, right? For example, the gap could be that historically semiconductor companies were not too good in software, right? They were not too good in integration. They were focusing more on building reference solutions so that the customers will take it and then get into commercialization. But the expectations of the market has changed. Now the expectations of the market is that, can you actually give me something that can be commercialized? So that means that you need to now figure out either you have to build those capabilities in-house, or you have to build an ecosystem to actually work with those partners. So, and then kind of work towards a very collaborative approach. So our vision to be an intelligent edge company is a combination of working with our partners, working with our ecosystem, and we believe that that's the way forward for every industry in this market.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So e-infochips is a product design and engineering services company. So we kind of sit in between the semiconductors on one side and customers on the other side. So our input is the customer feedback, what kind of problems they are facing or what are the applications. And then we scout out for our partners, right from sensors, actuators or processors or high-end compute platforms, and then figure out a best solution for our customer. And again, going to Sir's point that the customer and on the end is looking for a complete solution. He doesn't care, I have an affinity for a vendor A versus vendor B. He needs a solution. He needs a problem to be solved. So I think that's where we find a space to play a crucial role in this journey. How do we connect robots to the cloud and then be able to manage the fleets, as Jeffrey was mentioning in the morning today.
So if I were to approach that question literally as to how we go about doing our robotics business, I would simply say, whatever analog devices said, check. But all of us tend to work in that same paradigm. There are ecosystem partners, there are internal engineering, and of course, the pull from the market. Give us something that can get us halfway there. So we tend to do all of that. We do work with partners. We have a system solutions engineering in-house, and anything that we produce remotely in the nature of a solution, we call silicon sales enablers. Means if we do develop a solution, they are available for free. So otherwise we get into this unenviable situation where competing with our customers, we certainly don't want to do that. But to keep this answer relevant to ROS, this being ROSCon after all, there are two areas that we're focusing on right now. People have used Intel processors for a long time for robotics, but there are two areas that we are focusing on right now. One is integration, the other is acceleration. By integration, there will be a number of companies among you who actually want to build products which are low in hardware footprint, both in terms of cost, power. And our focus there is to ensure how much of the robotics control, whether it is 6 or 7 axes of motor control, whether it's computing the motor states of this through ROS, whether it is bringing in real sense or other camera input, or whether it is
ensuring that functional safety or security can be integrated into one chip. That's our focus. The second focus, acceleration, is actually a little different from what you might imagine. Here, acceleration is referring to taking an operating system like ROS, identifying primitives within ROS that you can accelerate in hardware. So essentially, you have ROS operating here. You take some primitives down, do them very quickly in hardware, and push them up, increasing overall throughput. So those are the couple of things we're doing right now, which are key for us.
Yeah. So thanks for those answers. And I'm actually going to build on to what Shrinivas sir said and Niladri sir said. So how do you foresee, leveraging open standards like ROS themselves to, let's say, bringing your semiconductor company's focus on robotics to the ecosystem in a much quicker manner? And there's a second parter to this question also, which is that does collaboration with, let's say, startups like startups and academia help when ROS is involved, like partnering with them and getting your solutions to a wider audience? Does it become easier? It's open for anyone to take, so please go ahead.
Maybe I could start.
Yeah, sure. Jigar, please start. Yeah.
So my view is, I go by him what he said, right? Platform is the ultimate goal that every company wants to do. I know Nvidia has been pioneering this topic of platform company for the longest ever time, but the objective is not an end-to-end platform push. The objective has to be plug and play, right? And that's where the innovation of the partner ecosystem, the open source community is going to come out. If today I foresee it out, hey, use end-to-end my stack and only then my semiconductor, my chip is going to work the best, or my ecosystem is going to work the best, I think that formula is never going to work in this world today, right? I think the world has evolved immensely. The maturity level of these stacks have come up pretty nicely. The community has very innovative ideas on how they want to break this. And it is paramountly important. And that's the reason when I explain my layers, each of these layers are replaceable. And there's no foreseenness to have interconnectivity between each of them, right? And that is paramountly important, right? You should be flexible in bringing in new partners, new sensor vendors. You should be equally, bringing in a hardware accelerator, APIs or SDKs and libraries, and so on and so forth. So in my view, that's extremely, extremely crucial. And that's a philosophy that Nvidia follows. And that's where the true community collaboration, that's going to come in the picture. Because I may see it from one lens. You may have a very different problem statement that you're trying to solve for the world, and that may demand XYZ. How do you bring these things together in your platform, which still makes you at the edge, being you the developer of that, at the same time helps my ecosystem to take some learning out of it and grow and build on top of that. That to me is extremely important, and I'm super proud that Nvidia follows this culture at every layer, in every aspect of our business line, not just robotics, but to in AI, but to in supercomputing, or to do with graphics as well. It's extremely important. Community needs to pour in the information and the knowledge that they have. Only then the innovation is going to take place.
Right. And just, completing the second part of the question, which is your experiences. You're a larger company, so what has your experience been with, let's say, partnering with the younger startups? Because they have faster iteration times compared to giants like yours. So do you think that brings value to your companies, especially given that you speak via the same interface, which is ROS?
It's amazing. Trust me, most of our product innovation has been the input from our startups, largely. Right? And Jensen accepts this publicly in some of his GTC talks as well. Hey, a product came out, it's in partnership with ABC company, and largely that ABC sequence has startup community which kickstarts with, right? They bring that innovation, and that's where they're unique in this marketplace, and that's how they become unicorns. So in my view, startup brings a lot of innovation, and we should be absolutely open in accepting them and bringing those innovation on the platforms that we want to build.
Yeah. Thanks for that answer. Niladri, would you like to?
So I'll keep this one short. And again, very relevant to ROS. Now, we've been a semiconductor company forever and ever. But we see ROS in robotics as a unifying catalyst, which in itself is an oxymoron. because a catalyst accelerates and a unifier binds, but we expect our ecosystem to be speaking a common language, which will help companies like ourselves, academia, robot manufacturers, and robotic software developers speak the same language and cooperate. And that, we believe, for us is going to be ROS. So we see it as a unifying catalyst.
Yes, Shrinivas.
Yeah, I think just not the startups. I think even innovation comes from universities. Like, for example, what Analog Devices does is that we run a program, it's an annual program called Anveshan, where we invite any university to give some 2 or 3 problem statements. And then we don't force them to use the ADI components. If they use, great. But the idea is that they come and then they demonstrate solutions based on the problem statements that we give. And then sometimes you take those solutions that have come to you, and then we try to see that that has the capability to convert into a product or an IP. So I think innovations can come from startups for sure. It can come from universities. It can come from ideas like platforms, like even platforms like this, where there is some conversations that happens and then suddenly an idea emerges. So the ability of these small kind of conversations, startups, is that you have the ability to fail fast. If things don't go well, you have the ability to actually close it and then move to the next idea, which sometimes is not true with big companies, because big companies keep on sometimes throwing good money on bad money and then realize that, okay, I think we are probably a bit far than what we thought we should have been. So I think the innovation coming from this ecosystem is a great story for all the big multinational companies.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yes, just to add on to what Sir said, that events like ROSCon should enable all of this, that, you know, companies should come together and, let's say, interact and share solutions with each other. Building on to what you said about discussing things here, I had a conversation with a few of the team members here, and one thing that I would like to address is, now with regards to the giants that your companies are, with regards to Indian robotics specifically, what is something that you expect from the community, or what are the challenges that you see with regards to this particular sub-community of the global robotics ecosystem growing? Like, what are, let's say, supply chain challenges, or, you know, with regards to, let's say, subsystems? Like, is there a lack of development? Should we accelerate development with regards to subsystems? Anybody can please take a shot at this.
Yeah, I think we all are working for the same goal, and I think we all mutually agree with that. We have to build this ecosystem, right? And we have to adopt this OSS framework, ROS, all this put together with community. And I think most of the idea born here, you know, when we are in college, academia. So see, right now we have to, what the question is asking is, scalability is very important for any program or any investment we are making, right? So we all companies are like heavy investment into this robotics development, the chipset development, semiconductor development. So, you know, we have to think of the policies, right policies for our country, where we can have scalability, keeping in mind like it can go to commercialize, you know, and we can have scalable program, and it can practically use in our life, you know, for logistic, for robotic surgery or whatever. I mean, there are multiple examples of that. So policy and standards are very important, very critical. I think we all should work into that direction by forming, or we have already some you know, communities and bodies there. And then, you know, we should have more labs or more, you know, openness as a company. You know, like Colcom, we have labs where we give access to the startups, we give access to the communities, and this even academia, we have kits. So we have RB5 kit, you know, so that it can go horizontally across the board, and everyone can implement their ideas. And like my colleague said here, innovation come from, you know, industry itself. And we can innovate this because we have engine, we have that R&D engine where your ideas we can incorporate and we can, you know, change this world together. So I think this approach looks like we are following, Qualcomm is religiously following, and we are also taking global inputs from, you know, global communities which we can, utilize for India market and bring scalability and, bring some speed to this game. Yeah.
Amit sir, would you like to?
Yeah. So I'll like to give one example. At Einfochips, we have been doing into services business for long. And, we were doing ASIC design, hardware, all these competencies are in-house. And last year when we started Robotics Center of Excellence, my management told me that, okay, Amit, we need to participate in a certain conference. And so, you have just 4 or 5 months. That's when I realized, two things. One is, although we were good in many things, in-house capabilities, but, since this is a ROS conference, so I want to acknowledge that, having a ROS platform, which was stable, working on a certain platform really helped to accelerate. And I could clearly see while interacting with multiple startups that, okay, this startup is, can shorten my journey. And, I got all the blessings from my management to go ahead and deal with them. And I think more I interact with this kind of community, I feel that there are blind spots or, operational things which we cannot, as an organization, have time or, focus right now. But there are people doing it, and it's good to know, because end of the day, we are dealing with the end customers. So his problem has to be solved. So I don't mind collaborating with the startups and,
Right.
professors or universities or, so that's my point.
Yeah, that's.
I don't
Jigar.
know, but I would still say I think the fundamental layer needs to strengthen up a lot. Skill is still a huge gap. The engineering folks are still stucking back at Python only, and they know they'll get the job. That's it. And you asked as a question of India, right? And thereby I'm giving as an Indian answer that we need a lot of skill development to be done on, let's say, sensor technology. Sensors are too costly for Indian market system, right? If I have to make and replace 10 years from now a maid not coming to my place, which is not going to happen and that's going to be the reality because prosperity is growing. We have already touched 4 trillion market cap, and today Sensex is up by about 1,000 points again. Everybody's going to grow, and thereby maids are not going to come because their kids are going to be in that race of earning nicely, not allowing their parents to work in this fashion. How do I make that robo cost go down? That's going to happen because of the hardware. Software is no dearth. We have enough and more software guys in this country, right? We contribute enough in our economy. So skill is where I still believe there is a huge gap, which needs to be, filled up. Only then it will back up to the innovation, manufacturing, and thereby the applicability of the same.
Yeah. So actually, sir, yeah, please.
So these kind of things take time. It's a mid-term, long-term game. There is no instant gratification in this, like a grocery app or a taxi app where you start becoming positive the next month. So it takes time. I think government is doing its best in terms of those forums, the MITI, the semiconductor initiatives, setting aside $10 billion. India is going to take a technology leap when it comes to manufacturing. And when we get into smart manufacturing, I think robotics will have a big play. The interoperability aspects, I think you talked about the skill enhancement. A lot of those things sometimes I think you kind of learn on the job. But I think the basic requirements I think these days there is also this feeling that even if I do my engineering in mechatronics or electrical, I try to aspire for a software job, not for something in the area of robotics or systems engineering. I think that also is a kind of function of time. It will change. But I think all this has to come together. I think we are in a sweet spot. I think the next 10 years is beautiful on India. The way the GDP is going to grow, the way the whole market is going to transform. I think this is a great midterm, long-term story.
Yeah, even I'm optimistic about this. Building on to what, okay, Niladri, please.
I
Yeah.
did have something to add. And audience and you have probably figured out by now that high-level answers is not my thing. So you asked what I want from the Indian audience, the Indian robotics. Look, you guys make robots, and many of you are familiar that you create a PID loop, works great on one robot in the lab. You take the same PID loop, take it to an identical robot. Things don't work. The reason why they don't work is there are real-world disturbances or real-world differences. Disturbances come in the manner of loads, could even be wind load, but the differences are, for example, the moment of inertia of the robot arms are different. The bearing friction is different. The gear hysteresis is different. To understand gear hysteresis, if you took your grandfather's car and you turned left, there would be a dead zone before actually right would engage if you are trying to turn right, so that's hysteresis. So things differ from robot to robot. PID loops don't work. So there are two potential approaches. One has been around for a long time, not in robotics, but it's called model predictive control. I'll not go into the details of it. You could probably look it up on Wikipedia. But with model predictive control, you needed faster and faster compute. It was almost impossible to do it for robots. You did it in process control. Today, the computing power exists for model predictive control. And the other approach where you can get rid of this PID loop problem is through AI, which means you are having a neural network analyze what my end effector toolpath is. Now, which of these will win, I don't know. But if you want me to ask, or if you want me to say what I want of this audience, give me algorithms. Don't write ROS software for me. Give me algorithms that will work, which I can use for MPC, or I can use for AI.
Yeah. So I'd like to build on what Niladri, Shrinivas sir and Jigar said. So boiling it down to, essentially, I think given we have like almost half of our audience is students. So the thing that I would like to ask you guys is that what are, let's say, the skills that, the future batch of engineers should have, or even the current young developers should have with regards to even from a theory perspective, like algorithm development perspective, or even practical skills like ROS? What are things that, semiconductor giants like yourselves would prefer the next batch of engineers to have? I think, Niladri, you can start given what you've said.
So as far as tools are concerned or training is concerned?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if you look at engineers that are coming out of college, they have a set curriculum, which is base, and that's required. If you have semiconductor companies, we are trying to make it easy for our end customers to develop something, and therefore we claim that we produce robotics platform. Everybody does it. And I claim that I produce a robotic platform. Do I produce a robotics platform? No, probably about halfway. But there is a gap between the student that's coming out of the academic institution versus what my vision for my robotics platform is. And that's essentially a tool set if my semiconductor is sufficiently differentiated. Nvidia will understand this perfectly. Analog devices, semiconductors are differentiated. They're not CPUs. Now, we heard earlier today about heterogeneous compute, CPU, DSP, GPU integration. And there are tools, and there are other companies, including Intel, that produce products in the market, which admittedly are very difficult to program, but can be extremely fast and very easy to integrate everything that you want, including ROS and motor control. Those are called field programmable gate arrays, or FPGAs. So those of you who are familiar with FPGAs, great. Otherwise, I have a couple of slides tomorrow which talk about FPGAs. But FPGAs is an example. NVIDIA's own CUDA is an example. So these are tools that are not necessarily taught in college unless you had the advantage of being on the right project. So I believe from a training standpoint, companies like us, we have the responsibility to work with academia, that enough projects are made, enough labs are made, so that the tool gap is bridged.
Yeah. Khusdil, would you like to take this first?
Yeah, see, when we were in college, I think we did not have this kind of panel in front of us, to be very honest. And they are offering, so much. Everyone had something to offer to you. So my first advice would be, guys, please utilize this. You have a great ecosystem. You have great platform for learning as well, online, offline, masterclass, a lot of stuff is there. And then please approach semiconductor companies, just reach out to them, get what they have, kit, tools, whatever you guys do hands-on experience. And I would say, we should start somewhere. Instead of making plan or do that thing, just get along with this, get start something, and then you will find your way, as a part of this bigger, larger ecosystem. So we have a lot of things to offer. Like we have kit outside, just do some hands-on experience. Just RB5 kit is there. So just it's not limited to Qualcomm or Nvidia or anybody. So it is just, we are so much to offer, so much to you guys can learn from semiconductor companies in India today. Big ecosystem. Bangalore is Silicon Valley of India. So just take full advantages of that. And I think you are the prestigious institute, and I think we are honored to talk to you guys. So just take that leverage from what India have today, and let's do it together. We are open. We can just make it happen together.
Srinivas.
Basically, I think the skills are more or less the same. It's not like robotics is a monolith that has come from a different space, and then we have to learn skills that are new altogether, right? It's same thing, right? It's your microcontroller programming, your understanding of DSP, your sensor integration, your AI, ML capabilities, algorithm development, vision sensing. That's one part, right? The second part is more about, because these things are emerging, your curiosity in problem solving. I think those things probably will have higher weightage as we go forward. It's not just the academic, because the things that you learn in your electronics and communication or electrical or mechatronics, those courses are, probably it's kind of tuned to some extent, but the basics are the same. What probably differentiates is how do you put these things together? I think at your level, you have to start playing as a SI, right? How can you put these things together and then build a robotic device? I think that automatically gives you that subsystem experience. I think otherwise, it's all the same.
Yeah.
I think just to add on what sir has said, so we need to also make friends with mechanical guys. I think those are important in robotics. And because everything works well, and suddenly you find the surface is not well, or there are a lot of vibrations and sensor is giving a lot of noise, then you end up filtering all those stuff, right? So I think we need to be open and collaborate with talk to your friends, course mates in computer science, mechanical, electrical. Everything is important, right? Thank you.
Yeah, I think most of the crowd here is roboticists, so they Jigar, would you like to? Yeah.
Just one more point. I keep teaching one of my mechanical engineer friend. So my background is electrical. So we said, boss, we have a lot of innovation in semiconductor, like doing a lot of cutting edge stuff. What you guys are doing, So he has very less answers. He try to cover up things, but not really what we do. But when I look at drone and robotics industry, I think there's a lot to do from the overall engineering perspective, So it's a horizontal thing, just keep aside everything. You just become an engineer, from your heart. I think take all the challenge, just like, sir said, boss, you have to be sometimes mechanical, sometimes electrical, electronics, mechatronics. I think it's like everything, So it's really, truly fascinating, when you work on such projects. And this is a really challenging time, that you take these challenges and just, move forward when you have ecosystem in place.
So, I would just like to add here, most of the guys here are robotics engineers. So, essentially what robotics engineers are systems engineers. So, it's like 20% good at mechanical stuff, 20% good at electronic stuff, sort of better at, software because of ROS. So, yeah, I think like they would largely agree with what you're saying, because it's basically a group of systems engineers here. Concluding 2 questions. Firstly, I would like all of you to answer this, that what are the top tech developments for the robotics ecosystem specifically that the audience should expect from your respective companies in the next year? Khusdil, we can start from.
Yeah, see, 3 things I would say. So we are working on distributive intelligent edge platform. So that is one key development we are doing, and this will bring new aspects to this robotics and drone ecosystem. And second is this LLM and LMV, all these models, we are expanding to this distributed. Again, both are kind of complementing each other. So these are the major focus, two major focus for us. And third is, since we are inventor of modems, so connectivity is like DNA of Qualcomm. So we are integrating horizontally, that connectivity, and that can be leveraged, or cloud connectivity, or we can like robotics, like health related stuff. I mean, anywhere you want to do some remote places with low latency kind of stuff. So that is three things which is more focused for Qualcomm coming years.
Jigar?
So I think in Nvidia case, AI is integral part of it, right? And we know the importance of it, what it's going to be. So if you ask me what's going to come up next year, I can very well predict that more compute at less power is bound to come. Though we know that's a segment we lead by. We don't play at the low end tops of the compute, and there is a solid reason why we want to do that, and we continue to build on that. So you would expect us to announce and have more products with more tops in play. Software ecosystem is going to grow magnifold for us. I think just last 1 year has seen, I think if I'm not mistaken, more than 20 different software getting accelerated on ROS platforms for Nvidia tech, which has been part of our Isaac stack that we have announced it. And third is more partners. You will see us more innovative partners building very innovative stuff in the hardware and software world, which is going to get integrated with our ecosystem and thereby more developers. So 3 things.
Yeah. I think ADI will continue to be a solutions company. We will the aspiration and the vision of being an intelligent edge is our 2030 vision. So we will continue to work on that. India is a key engineering site, not just engineering site. We also believe that the next 10 years, it's a great market opportunity for us. So there will be focus on building India-based customized products, and then focus on the marketing, the product management aspects for the local region. Working with the ecosystem, I think historically it's been to our strength. We'll continue to expand on that, and then see that how the larger vision of the company to see how we work towards a safe planet, how do we work towards a safe human. I think that's the overall kind of vision of the company, and all our objectives will be to meet that particular goal.
Yes.
So for us, I think we'll build upon our robotics capability and take it towards more digital, where we envision that we'll have more connected robots, and there'll be fleet of robots to be managed. How do you design such systems and have visibility on the ground? So the connectivity piece. Then moving more verticalized approach on healthcare, medical robots, and automotive, because there is an intersection between automotive and robotics. So at some point of time, we'll intersect that. With that.
Yeah.
And given my penchant for direct answers, I should really stop apologizing for that. But I have a direct answer in this case. One technology that you should see coming out of us in 2024 is something that addresses your ability to build less expensive robots. And by that, I mean a single chip robotics platform where you can run ROS, where you can run multiple instances of motor control, speed, torque, position. You can compute the motor states in ROS and send it to these algorithms, and they can directly control the various joints in that actuate the robot arms. If you like, you should be able to integrate a video ingest stream into it. You should be able to run AI to figure if you're seeing something which is potentially dangerous, either to the robot or the human, and take action appropriately. And if you like, you should be able to add industrial networking, some of the stuff that was mentioned earlier today, like EtherCAT, Profinet, or even TSN. Next year, expect to see a single chip robotics platform capable of doing all of this. I do not expect we will get to the point of actually accelerating ROS to in hardware in 2024, but we just might. The second is speculation on my part. So within about 5.5 hours from now, you should be able to see on Intel Newsroom a direct live stream from NASDAQ of an Intel event called AI Everywhere. Now, granted that this is a very ambitious name, and AI Everywhere will initially be targeted towards data center, but I expect some of the work that is being done in Intel Labs and elsewhere for AI Everywhere to also gravitate towards the single chip robotics platform, which, by the way, is already equipped with technologies like TensorBlock. So expect to see those two.
Okay. Building on to that optimistic note, my final concluding question to all of you, anybody is open to take it. As I mentioned earlier, given India's national semiconductor mission and the focus on the strategy on robotics, what's your super optimistic, even half crazy prediction for the next 5 years with regards to specifically the Indian robotics ecosystem? Anybody is up to take it? I think Jigar, please go ahead.
Me again? No, but yeah. And you said super crazy, okay? So
Yeah,
I'll
yes,
go by that
please.
line. And India in that context. Otherwise, globally, with all the recipes that my wife and my mother does for me, I'll be starting from here, putting a message to the robo saying that today is a day for a Guju food, make it ABC. Or I may have a subscription model because I'm interested to have a pav bhaji from Bombay, and that guy is going to get 2 rupees from me because I'm asking him to load the recipe in my robo. And the robo will be making it ready by the time I reach home.
That's a super fun answer. Please, everybody else, build on this.
Yeah. I think there'll be ROSCon in every city. And I think there'll be innovation hubs because of the focus of the government. I think there is a big focus. I believe that every big university, every big college will have a robotics lab, and people will come with a system view, not just a kind of basic understanding of what they need to work on. I think there'll be a big market. India will be probably the largest market for robotics, not just in the consumer space, but in manufacturing, defense, aerospace, automotive. And then you see that India being a leader and then giving some inputs and then participating in standards and being the leader for standardization in the area of robotics.
Thank you. Amit, sir.
So I'll be a bit grounded. So first thing, building upon that, next year we are going to have ROSCon, and in Goa, and yeah. Was that grounded? Okay, so the grounded one is that Delhi NCR, we want to build that also as a hub. The spotlight is on Bangalore, of course. Every reason for that, but we also want to, get other part of the countries also, in the spotlight. So that's the effort we are going to take.
Niladri.
Well, to answer that question effectively, I must share with your audience something that happened to me 4 days ago. So I traveled for ROSCon, but I also used this opportunity to go and attend a college reunion at my alma mater. And we're meeting a lot of friends, and I heard one friend ask another a question. The guy who was being asked the question had recently cultivated the habit of taking a brisk morning walk before leaving for work. And this question was, are you still, keeping up with your morning walks? And the answer was, nahi, uske liye aadmi rakha hai. For those who didn't get it, that essentially means, no, I don't walk anymore. I've employed a person to do that for me. So I don't know about you, I am lazy. So to Mr. Mahapatra's morning address where we talked about 3 Ds of robotics, I think we talked about, dull, dangerous, and dirty. I think I should add difficult. I mean, physically difficult. And I'm expecting to see, and don't forget, we are a country of Jigar. We are a country of Jugaad, and I have lost count of the number of countries I've traveled all over the world, but never in any country have I seen a robot that cleans toilets. So therefore, I see robotic innovation coming at all levels from even where we least expect it. So I was certainly very pleased to hear about the robots in the kitchen, and I'm pretty sure my imagination can't run as wild, but I don't know where it's going to come from, but I believe we have a great ecosystem in this country. We have great engineers, we have great institutions, and we believe that one will see increased collaboration with semiconductor manufacturers, academia, and young roboticists like yourselves. That's what I wanted to add.
So I think this question is more relevant for you guys because you guys may have crazy ideas, more than us. But just to take on, I would say like maybe my son is walking and he's having a companion robot which is helping him to grow, in a way that I feel or that the world is changing, faster. And maybe like, after COVID, we all have work from home kind of culture. So I would imagine that like my office at home is kind of AI office where, I can do things more efficiently, probably. And then, I think drone should be more used. I would say that like efficiency has to be there, in India. We waste a lot of time in doing a lot of things. So like my colleague also said, so drone can be very useful for bringing efficiency into the game. And last point, I would say like robotics will bring quality. So India is like, we are still not there where when we go to US, other country, quality is different. So we can use this technology next 5 years, like we can bring that quality standard, having less of the error in manufacturing or whatever, in multiple space. And we can have these 3-4 things I would imagine will happen. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, all of you, for the last fun answers and also all the insights that you have shared with our audience here. So big round of applause for these folks, and I think we can conclude this panel. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we just stand together for a group photo? Sure. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. Actually, yeah, please. Okay.